Hi there, we're Ola.
And Alex.
We're based in Austria.
And we've been traveling Europe together in our camper van since 2011.
And today we want to show you the composting toilet that we've been using for the past year.
Is this the ultimate camping toilet? Let's find out.
Like anyone who buys a prefab camper van, ours was equipped with a chemical toilet. We've been using a chemical toilet for 8 years.
And we never found anything wrong with chemical toilets. That's just what you use in a camper van, right? Or so we thought.
Except on hot days while driving, where the smell was so overpowering that we thought it would be better not to have a toilet at all than to have a chemical one.
But we do need one because we like camping without infrastructure. We don't like going to campsites that much. We want to be independent. Have nice spots like this in the mountains where there's nothing, no infrastructure. So we do need a toilet, and using a chemical toilet was what we were used to. Emptying chemical toilets is not that much fun. The liquids you're supposed to put into them are not that healthy.
The blue stuff, the orange stuff, it either works and is really bad for the environment, or it's good for the environment, but then it doesn't really work.
So every time you use these chemicals, you have a bit of a bad conscience. And if you travel to southern countries where there isn't a lot of infrastructure for camper vans, or if you decide to travel during a lockdown when all campsites are closed, you might discover that emptying your chemical toilet isn't that easy. And at some point we thought, isn't there anything better?
It turns out there is.
We started thinking about composting toilets. What exactly is a composting toilet?
Well, the principle is that when you don't separate number one and number two, it starts to stink because bacteria, moisture, lots and lots of food, it stinks. A composting toilet works on the principle of separation. Number one goes into a container of its own. Number two goes into another container of its own.
How does that work, you ask? That's how. There are basically two main categories. One, composting toilets that you use for a long period of time and you don't have to empty them very often, but when you do need to empty them, it's a bit more work. They usually have a crank to mix the insides. On the other hand, you have this type, which uses bags for number two, and they're much easier to use for short trips. They're much easier to use when it comes to emptying them, but in exchange, you have to empty out number two more often. Number one is pretty much the same for the other type as well, but number two is where the differences lie. So this is type 2, where you use bags for number two, and we'll show you how that works in a second, but in not too much detail.
So the composting toilet that we've decided for is this kind. It's called the Trelino.
It comes from Germany, and although it looks pretty simple, it's very carefully engineered.
German engineering.
The Trelino is a well thought out product that keeps being improved by a team of dedicated toilet engineers. We would know because we've had ours for a year, and this one is already quite different. So just to be clear, this is not our toilet. Ours is built in. We can show you later on. This one is a bigger one. We have the Trelino M. This is a Trelino L, and it was provided to us so that we could do this video. And to start off, let's go through the parts that a Trelino is made up of. The outer body of the Trelino is made of high quality PE, and that makes it virtually indestructible.
It might look simple, but it's actually quite nifty. It's designed to take all of your weight, keep all the components safe.
And that means you can also easily use it as a seat without needing to be afraid to break anything. In smaller camper vans, that can be a real advantage because you don't have the luxury of a lot of space. So you can just reuse your toilet as a seating arrangement as well. Put some nice fabric around it, put a nice pillow on top of it. You'll have a comfy seat without requiring any additional space. We have this nice wooden lid with a nice finish. This is new. We don't have that in our older Trelino. Now it has a little notch that you can reach into to lift it off. Because, as you have just seen, the lid is magnetic, so that prevents it from falling off driving over rough roads. That's quite a nice feature. Underneath you have the separators.
The main piece of the toilet.
So this is the part that will separate number 1 and number 2 and direct them into different buckets. Obviously, we need some receptacles to receive liquids and solids. This is the liquids container.
And this is the bucket for number 2.
So number 1 goes in here, number 2 goes in here, and receptacles below it receive liquids and number 2 separately. They don't mix, like Ola explained, and they don't create awful smells, and it works really well. This is also a part that a lot of thought went into. When we visited the team that makes the Trelino last year, we saw how they were sanding down this area to improve the fit. So this is a part that has been improved upon again and again. And what's really special about it is the spout that will direct your number 1 into the matching container. This is the urine tank. And as you can see, it has a narrow hole and the spout will fit nicely into that hole, and therefore there's absolutely no leakage. This is a really nice mechanism. What's more, the lid has a membrane that closes towards the bottom, and only liquid coming from the top can reach the container beneath. If you leave it on here, you can be quite sure that even on bumpy roads you won't have any spillage outside the urine tank. Liquid can go in from the top, it cannot go out though. This is a really nice mechanism, and that's rather special with the Trelino. So while there is a lid without an opening, there's actually no need. Last season we did a 4-month trip throughout Europe and we've never used this. It was always fine to just keep this lid on because this membrane works really well. And if there ever was any spillage from the containers, then it wouldn't get anywhere because it would be kept within the outer container. Number 2 then goes into the big opening, and what's also nice here is this is a really big opening. If you look at other composting toilets, sometimes they have a rather narrow opening and you need to aim very well. Otherwise you will have traces of number 2, and that's maybe not so much fun to clean, especially since there is no water flushing on a composting toilet. Within the year we've been using this, we've had maybe 1 or 2 accidents in the beginning when we didn't know where to position our butts, but now it's perfectly fine. There's never any trace of anything and there's basically no cleaning involved, which is rather nice. Number 2 then goes into this bucket underneath, so this opening reaches into bucket for number 2, and the bucket will typically contain a bag, so you line it with a bag so that after filling it up all you have to do is remove the bag, throw it in the trash, and you're done. This is a biodegradable bag. You're free to use any bag you want. The choice usually depends on where you want to throw out your trash. And finally, all of this goes into a nice PE bucket, virtually indestructible, and putting it together is real easy. And that's the Trelino. The cows seem to mind toilet talk. They're all staring at me. It's intimidating. Those of you not familiar with composting or separating toilets might be asking themselves, but how do you flush? And the answer is, you don't. A separating toilet or composting toilet is also a dry toilet, which means there's no water involved. And that's a good thing. First of all, you save water, especially in small vans, our size or even smaller. You don't have a huge quantity of water with you. Self-built vans often only have a couple of canisters and they carry 20, 40 liters, whatever, and you don't want to waste your precious water on flushing your toilet. And the dry toilet doesn't need that due to the separation and due to the cleanliness of the mechanism. You don't actually flush. All you do is you use a spray bottle to rinse out the separator after using it, but that's it, and it saves a lot of water. The second reason why that is a good thing is because it's much easier to install such a toilet. With a traditional chemical toilet with a flushing mechanism, you need to hook it up to your water supply, which can be a bit tricky. You can have leakages, which are never a great thing in a camper van. And here you don't need water, you don't need a water pipe. It's much easier to install this toilet. You literally just take it and put it wherever you like inside your camper van and you're done.
If you decide to order a Trelino for yourself, you can get a free goodie bag using our code Ola and Alex. This goodie bag includes some litter to cover your number 2s with, some biodegradable bags, and a kick-ass pair of socks. Aren't these cool?
The prices for the Trelino toilets start at around 400 euros depending on your country of residence, and the Trelino can be shipped to most European countries. You'll find the links to all versions of the Trelino toilet in the video description below, and if you order through them you support this channel with no disadvantage to you, and using our code you will get the goodie bag for free. You'll also find the code once more in the video description below. On our German language YouTube channel, a couple of nice people commented that that's a lot of money for a plastic bucket. First of all, it's a very well engineered plastic bucket. All the details that you find in this toilet will be very hard to make by yourself. Obviously, you can build your own separating toilet. It's not rocket science. However, bear in mind that this is a very well thought out product, and you buy it, you put it in your camper van, you're done, and you have a solution that just works, that will cause you no problems, and that is just overall mature and good product. Building your own toilet is not as easy as it might seem. If you build your own toilet, chances are you'll go through a couple of iterations and iron out some kinks, fix some problems, and in the end, after a few iterations, it's not guaranteed that the material you have bought and wasted is so much cheaper than a ready-made solution that the result will work and will meet your expectations. You will definitely be spending more time than you expect, and in the end, the result might not match what you get with the Trelino. You can also find kits that allow you to build your own toilet from prefabricated components, and we'll link to some of those kits in the video description below. So the question in the end is, do you want to travel, do you want to explore the world, or do you want to become a toilet designer? The Trelino comes in 3 sizes. This is the L, the biggest one, and there's also a Trelino M, that's the one we have inside, and there's a Trelino S for small camper vans. And depending on which model you choose, you get different sizes of the receptacles inside. Obviously, the bigger, the longer you can go without emptying the containers. The smaller, the less space you need. So it's really just a matter of your space constraints in your camper van. We had to decide for the Trelino M because we have a stupid socket in our bathroom, and if we had chosen the Trelino L, we would have dangling feet, which you didn't like so much.
If we hadn't had a pre-built chemical toilet before we installed our separation toilet, we probably would have gone for the L because of the convenience factor. Because our bathroom is laid out the way it is, we simply don't have the height for it anymore. So we went for a slightly smaller one, which is still really cool. I find it awesome.
This is the difference in size between the number 1 container of the Trelino L and the Trelino M on the other side. As you can see, there's quite a difference in size, and accordingly you can go a bit longer with the Trelino L container, but this one is fine as well. We've been using it for a long time and it's totally fine. If you want to be able to go longer periods without being able to empty the containers, it's easy to acquire further containers for number 1, and then you just close off one of them, put in the next one, and you're good to go for another day or 2. It's actually what we do. We have 3 of these and we just exchange them as we go along in case we don't find a toilet to empty the container in time. The Trelino is available in 2 colors. There's the dark version that we've shown you in this video, and there's also a white version, so you can choose the design that matches the design of your camper van. There's also a wood version in case you prefer that, but keep in mind that in wet environments the PE version will be more durable, so if you want to put your toilet into your bathroom, you might be better off using the PE version. How do you install a Trelino? Well, that's actually quite simple. As we've explained, this is a dry toilet. You don't need to hook it up to a water supply. It also doesn't need to be connected to your camper van's electrical system, and so all that remains is finding a space for the Trelino, putting it there and making sure it doesn't go anywhere in case you go through sharp turns or you need to brake real hard. You lock it in place either using some kind of strap or by drilling through the bottom or the sides of the Trelino and putting 4 screws in. That's what we did. It's really a matter of minutes. On this trip we're only transporting this unit so that we can show it to you. So we have our other Trelino inside our bathroom, but we've discovered it's an awesome step to get into our bed more easily.
I've seen a setup where it was attached to the floor with magnets, highly removable. So if you want to take it out and power wash it sometime, you don't have to open up screws. That's also possible.
As you can see, currently we don't have a self-built camper van. This is a pre-built van, and pre-built vans are a little bit stupid at times. The installation was a bit more tricky, but mostly because it was really tough to remove the existing chemical toilet and the stupid plastic socket underneath. That kept us busy for a while, disconnecting the water supply of the chemical toilet because we didn't need it anymore, disconnecting all the electricity and making a nice flat surface to put the Trelino on that. But the installation of the Trelino itself was really simple, really smooth. If we ever build our own van, which we've been dreaming about for a while, this is the kind of toilet we'll use, and we'll just plan a nice space for it. We'll put it there and we'll be done. There is an option to install a ventilator if you want to dry out your number twos even quicker in hot temperatures. That can be an advantage. We had a ventilator installed in our camper van. We honestly don't think that it's necessary. After having had it for a year, we don't always use it. If you don't travel in very hot climates, then you're fine without the ventilator. In hot climates, the ventilator just helps a little bit, but it's not strictly necessary. However, the ventilator does have a nice advantage.
It's a little weird, but when you have it on while you're doing your business, you don't smell anything. Kind of funny, very cool.
Because you have this slight vacuum below you and smells are being dragged outside, and inside you don't have any smells. And if you're traveling together in a small space like a camper van and it's raining outside, maybe you don't have your windows and doors open, then that's a really nice thing because you're not bothering traveling with you.
It took me a long time to get excited about this toilet. I didn't believe the separation stuff worked.
And let's be honest, men have a slight advantage when it comes to separating anatomically, and that's where Euler's skepticism was originally from. So how's that working out for you?
There's a learning component that takes maybe 2 days in total. The separating isn't the way you would do it at home because you're just used to sitting on the same bowl and doing your business, and whether it's number one or number two or both at the same time, it doesn't matter. For us women folk, what I do is when I sit down, I know what I am about to be doing on the toilet, so I choose my positioning, whether I need number two or number one. For number one, I sit a little bit to the front so that things go there. And for number two, I go a little bit farther back. It's not a big deal if you drip a little bit into the dry compartment. That's fine. That is all there is to it. It's kind of easy. With the number two bucket, obviously for cleaning purposes, you don't want to just use it without any liner or anything. You would put in a bag. A really good trick is to put in 2 bags. In case one of the bags fails, you still have a safety mechanism. You can still take out a single bag, but if that bag fails, you can take out both of them and you don't need to clean number two off the walls of the bucket. You do your business while you're sitting down, you wipe.
Whether you want to throw your toilet paper into the number 2 container or collect it separately is up to you. With the toilet paper in the number 2 container, you need to empty it out more often, but otherwise you have to collect it in a separate bin or bag. So personally, we've decided to just throw the toilet paper into the number 2 container.
When you're finished with your business on the toilet, you have to cover it with something. You can use earth, like for flowers. You can use a specially designed substrate, components mixed in to block out any smell.
This litter box, which we keep in our bathroom in the camper van, contains enough for roughly 1 week, and afterwards we restock from the back. We carry a larger quantity of litter in the back of our van. If you buy dried compressed bricks of coconut fiber, for example, that doesn't take a lot of space. You dissolve these bricks in water and they expand in volume, and you only need a tiny quantity to fill this bucket. It's cheap and you can get it on the road, in gardening stores, You can get similar things in pet stores, so that's no issue while traveling. And then inside we have a shovel that we use in order to cover our number 2s with the litter. The second item is a spray bottle, simple spray bottle that you can get anywhere. It contains some kind of acid. We use vinegar currently, but you can also use citric acid or anything else that you like. And this is used to rinse out the separator after using it so that there are no urine stains, so that no crusts can form. So you just spray out the separator, then you wipe it with paper if you like, and it's totally clean and easily done. In order to stop the spray bottle and the litter container from sliding around, we use sticky mats, which work very well for securing both bottle and container. And this is where it gets really cool. Due to this separation business, you don't need any chemicals in here. This all works without chemicals. The urine tank contains nothing but urine, and that makes emptying it very easy. You don't need any special stations for chemical toilets. You can empty the urine canister in any toilet really. And due to the fact that it's so nicely stealthy and blue, most people wouldn't know what you're carrying. This used to be a white canister, so this is another case of continuous improvement on behalf of Trelino. Morally, ethically, this is perfectly fine because all you dump is pure urine. No chemicals, no nothing, but you probably wouldn't want to have your pee very visible in a white container, and here nobody will know, but you'll probably pack it up in a backpack or something like that. If you don't have a choice, if you go onto a campsite or an official camper stop, you will be able to empty this there as well, but you don't have to. Emptying it in nature is something of a controversial topic. Yes, it's only urine, but there are people who say that there's too much salt in there to be able to easily empty it wherever. So you'd probably have to spread it out, mix it with water, dilute it, then it's probably also fine, but the first choice should be to use a toilet. If you can't, then at least you have the option to get rid of your pee in nature without harming the environment. There are opponents to composting toilets, and they say if every camper van had one and then everyone goes to the same tree and dumps their pee buckets, then it will stink and there will be problems. But that's not the point of these toilets. You will be emptying them into toilets most of the time. This is just an option that you have. That doesn't mean that this should be your default option.
You do have to watch out not to overfill them, and that is always individual. It depends on how many people are using the toilet, how often, how much you drink per day. We usually empty every second day.
Recommendation for you: go as big as you can. If you can swing the Trelino L, if you have the space for it. If you're traveling like we are, the two of us, you'd be able to go probably
4 days.
3 days or something with the urine canister without emptying it. In a smaller camper van, you don't always have the choice, and the small ones work just the same. They're just as good. You just have to empty the toilet a bit more often. Number 2 comes in through this opening, lands in the bucket below, in the bag, inside the bucket, and then when it's time to empty it, you just tie up the bag and you throw it in the trash. These are biodegradable bags. It's up to you whether you want to use them. The advantage obviously is that they are less harmful to the environment than other types of bags, but whether you want to use them depends on where you will throw these bags. On our trips throughout Europe, we often had the problem that we didn't find any bio bins, and then it's a matter of local legislation whether you're even allowed to put this kind of stuff into bio bins.
We have had a Trelino toilet in our camper for about a year. For 4 months of that year, we have been on a trip throughout Europe, and very honestly, we don't really go onto public toilets or campsite toilets anymore because we love the one that we drive around with us so much. It's ours, it's hygienic, it's so easy to take care of that it's a no-brainer. I'm not going on a toilet I don't know who else has sat on when all it takes to clean this one is take out the bag and change the urine canister.
That's really the major difference that we've noticed with a chemical toilet. There was always this slight mental barrier. Do we really go? Because afterwards you have to empty it, you have to look for a place where you can do that again, you have to find a campsite or a camper stop, and that's not so easy everywhere. If you travel in the south of Europe, if you travel in Greece, you're not going to find so many of them. And this mental barrier is now completely gone because this is so easy to empty and you can do it in any toilet. And it's not icky.
Absolutely. With a chemical toilet, we used to think about it twice, whether we're going to start using the cassette, knowing that we will have to empty it afterwards. Now, it's like, yeah, I need to go to the toilet.
And obviously some of you will disagree. There will be fans of chemical toilets. We know until we got a separating toilet, we also used to say, it's not a big deal emptying a chemical toilet. It's fine. It's not that icky. Because if you don't have a comparison, you do believe that. But once you've switched to a composting toilet, we guarantee to you, you're not going to find emptying chemical toilets so much fun anymore, because there is a better solution. And if you like your chemical toilet, that's totally fine. If you don't want to switch, that's fine. No need to be offended. If you want to consider a separating toilet, from our experience, from our point of view, it's the better solution. And of course, some of you will say, okay, they have been bought. They have received millions to praise this company. But unfortunately, we haven't been bought. No millions for us. We do make affiliate commissions like any serious YouTuber, really. We just like the company, we like the product. Those of you who are always skeptical about recommendations on YouTube, just think about it. We travel in our camper van, paid for with our own money, at least 6 months a year. Would we really want a product installed in there that we have to use every day? At least, how often do you go to the toilet? A couple of times. Would we really want a product in there that we don't like and that we don't believe in? No, we don't.
This is our own toilet. We've been using it for a year, and to be honest, I was skeptical, and that ended on the day we got it. I love it. I'm absolutely head over heels about this product, and that's why we are on camera talking to you guys about it, because it's just life-changing.
It's a toilet, yes, but you can be excited about the toilet.
We love it, and we would love it if you try it out and love it too. Europe together for the past...
It's my part.
Yes. I don't know what you want to say.
Nosy people all around.
Hello.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.